Dion, hi, Jim Delapine here. I want to give you some advice and tips and so on and so forth. I appreciate the fact that you created a base here for your character. So I want to show you an alternate method here. Okay, so I'm going to get rid of that pine. I'm going to go to the background here and right-click on that and rasterize the layer. Okay, that will be important later on. Now what I'll do is I'll duplicate that layer by hitting Control or Command J. So with the copy layer active, I'm going to go to Edit, Transform, Flip Vertical. So now it's upside down. Then I'm going to click on this with the Move tool active and start dragging it down. As I'm dragging, I'm holding down Shift, right, and bring it all the way down here and make it match the seam, the base. So I'll increment it up using my arrow key, and there we go. So now it's meeting, okay? Now what we need to do is hit Control or Command A to select all, and then go to Image Crop. Okay, so that'll crop the image out, and that will help us with our next step, which is to Control or Command click on the copy layer for the background, and then go to Edit, Transform, Perspective. Okay, and then very simply go to the bottom left or right bounding box and pull out. And we'll get the illusion that this is a floor now. We'll hit Enter to apply that and hit Control D. Now to further that illusion and to accomplish something that you did not create as one of the requirements, which is an adjustment layer with a clipping mask, we're going to do this. With that copy layer active, I'm going to go to, I'm going to click on the adjustment layer icon and select levels. Okay, and then I'm going to pull the left shadow over to darken it. Okay, now notice what happens. Both the top and the bottom, everything under here is affected by this layer mask. But what you need to do is, I'm sorry, I said layer mask, I meant adjustment layer. You need to make a clipping mask out of this so it attaches only to this base floor. So I'm going to Alt or Option click in between the layers and click. There, so now it's attaching only to the floor. So now you have the additional illusion of the floor. If you don't like the setting, you can always click on this or double click on the icon for levels again and make an adjustment. Okay? Alright, so now the next step is, let's talk about text here. Alright, and actually let's talk about how you have these fitting into, okay, into the spell and check. Okay, it looks like you used um, a blurry brush, a feathered brush. So with this layer mask active for the push toy and your paintbrush active, make sure that you have 100% hardness here. Okay, so now with black as your foreground color, you would want to zoom in really and just click along here and drag along here to create the illusion that it's going into that. Okay, now it's a hard edge. See here you have a soft edge. So here you would do the same thing. You basically, if you click and shift click along here, you get it'll free up your hand, and then okay, so now what you want to do is this. You want to create the illusion of a shadow. So if I select this layer again, push toy layer, and I'm going to create a new layer above that. Okay, and then I'm going to my paintbrush and I'm clicking on the foreground. Let me just hide the character. I'm going to click on the foreground color box and just dragging along here and selecting a medium gray and hitting OK. So now gray is my foreground color. Now in my paintbrush, with my paintbrush active, I'm going to select 0% hardness. Okay, actually I'm going to go a little bit harder, maybe 20, maybe 30%. Okay, and Now what we'll do is paint with gray on this new layer, but we want to make a selection. If we paint now, this will happen. Okay, we don't want to do that. We want to keep it contained in the selection. So I will control or command click on the thumb on the layer mask thumbnail for the push toy. Okay, and now if I click and drag, I will paint this gray. Okay, actually I should have made that 0% hardness and maybe a larger brush. Okay, we want a feathered kind of edge. All right, so that does not look good because it's basically gray, but, and let me deselect now, but if we change the blending mode, the layer blending mode to multiply, all right, now it's a true shadow. Okay, so now I want you to do the same thing on this layer here for the gun, which is kind of disappearing because it's gray. So what you can do also is click on that and we'll create an adjustment layer for use saturation. Immediately make this a clipping mask. And then you can colorize this if you want. If you check colorize, actually that does not look good. That does not look good. But let's just say, you know what, here, let's just make this a blue. All right, and increase the saturation. All right, now, watch what's happening here. It automatically created this layer mask, so what you can do is go in there, 100% hardness brush, with a small brush, go in there and isolate the areas that you don't want to be affected by that saturation. So you can still maintain like the metal of this gun. You know, it really takes zooming in there and making sure that you are isolating those parts and doing a good job with cutting it out. This may be a little trickier with this smaller brush, you know, to get in there and really just do that. But you can see how you can make, you know, a difference here with this. So, and then this front part here. All right. Yeah, see this part here is blurry with the gun. So you'd want to go in there and see if I make white my foreground color, get a smaller brush size. I'll bring that image back. Actually, that's didn't go all the way down. Yeah, you want to make it appear as if it's coming out of this turret here, for example. So, you know, all these little details make a difference. Okay. So that's that. All right. Again, of course, create a shadow. Now, what you may want to do also is this. This text is kind of, I mean, I appreciate it, but it's a little odd. So I created this text here. So let's just say, let's have fun with this, okay? Let's take this arm here. We're going to bring it up and rotate it, okay? Actually, I did not rotate that how I wanted to. All right. So this one here, we'll do the same thing. We'll bring it up. This time, we're going to hit Control T, and this time I'm going to bring the center point. There's a little center point. It's hard to see, but bring it over here. Now it'll rotate around that point, okay? So let's put it here, okay? So now with this text, I'm going to go to the, let me make it a little bit bigger. Make it like that, okay? Now I'm going to go to, let's see, it has to be selected, right? So I'm going to go to Type, Warp Text, and we'll select the traditional. You know what? Forget about warping it. I have a better idea. This will be more fun. I'm going to right-click on this layer and rasterize the type. So now it's art. So now it's like you can do whatever you want with it. It's no longer an editable font. So now I'm going to put a selection around the T. Right? I'll drag it down here and hit Control T and rotate it. It's going to take a little bit of work, but I think it'll be worth it. All right. I'll hit Enter to apply the transformation, and then I'm going to fill that with a different color. All right. I'll fill it with bright colors. All right, so Alt Delete or Option Delete fills in the foreground color. There we go. Okay. Now I'm going to select the E Notice as soon as I start dragging it, the selection locks into it. It snaps to it. I'll hit Control T, and that will allow me to rotate it a little bit. Hit Enter to apply the transformation, and choose, I'll leave it at red. But I can choose another color now. I'll make them more bright. Okay? Rectangular marquee tool, put a selection around the R. Go to the Move tool. As soon as I start moving it, the only thing is you want to make sure that you don't have it touching the other one. Okay? Alright, so we'll leave that at red. Now we'll go back to my marquee. Select that R. Take that. I'm going to move that to the side. And, you can wind up like making it look like Terrible Toys is like being juggled from one arm to the other. Okay? Again, it's simply a matter of put a selection around the D, for example. Go to the Move tool. And as soon as I move it, the selection snaps to it. I can then fill it with a color and rotate it. Okay, so that's a way to have fun with this. All right, so I would suggest doing that. Now let's have some more fun. I'm going to suggest that we take this here. I'm going to go to my Magic Wand tool and go to the Elmo layer and click on this eye. Okay? So now what I'm going to do, Magic Wand tool, click right in the middle, that selects the eye. I'm going to hit Control J. That copies that eye to the layer above. All right, so now we have what was in that selection copied to the layer above. Okay? And then what I'll do is I'll go back to the Elmo copy layer, select the image. I'm going to click on the eye again. Now watch what I'm going to do here. All right, we want to avoid this. There'll be a rim. So if I fill that, with, let's say, I'll sample this. I'm going to go to the eyedropper tool and sample this background color. It's not pure white, and I fill that with that color. I get that. Okay, so there's a little rim around there. So let me undo that. I'm going to go to Select, Modify, Expand, and I'll expand it out 1 pixel. All right, so it's expanded out there. Now if I fill it, it looks like that. Okay, but I'm not going to fill it. I'm going to go to Shift F5, and I'm going to use the Content Aware. This will take into consideration the surrounding pixels. It might bring in some of this yellow though, so let's hit OK, see what happens. No, it worked fine. Beautiful. So see how smart Photoshop is? All right, so now you still have this rim, so now we'll do some retouching. I'll go to the patch tool and surround the area I want to fix. Okay, so let's just say this part. Then click in the middle and drag out. Bam. Okay, so I'm surrounding the area I want to edit. Clicking in the center and dragging it out to a similar area, and Photoshop will replace it with that. Now, after you complete all that, now you can go to your eye here and move it up here and have it like looking up at have it looking up at the characters as they're being juggled. So that'll be fun. All right, I hope that helped. Okay, take care. Bye-bye.